On this episode of GWeek, we talk to GW students about an act of terror in the heart of Paris that has shocked the world, take a look at holiday preparations at the White House, and have an exclusive interview with a member of No Lost Generation. All this and more on GWeek. Welcome to another episode of GWeek. I'm your host, Mary Grace Brown. Following the tragic events that transpired in Paris earlier this month, we sent reporter Rudy Venkatesan to the streets to talk to GW students about their opinions on the tragedy.
We're here today to talk to GW students about the recent terrorist attacks in Paris and the ongoing events. So what was your immediate reaction following the Paris terrorist attacks?
Well, I was personally really scared because I know a lot of people that are abroad right now over in Paris. And then in general, I was just horrified.
I just kept wondering, when is this going to stop?
As a GW student, I felt like I was powerless, and I just wanted to help out the people in Paris.
So House GOP proposed a bill to put a pause on the Syrians entering the U.S. That are seeking refugee status. What do you think about that?
I see where they're coming from. I understand that we can't just open our doors, so to speak, to everyone who wants to come, but at the same time we have to understand that these refugees are coming from something that we can't even imagine.
Syrians are fleeing what just happened in Paris, basically. This is happening in their own country. That's what they're trying to flee.
Well, as a GW student and someone who lives in the DC community, how do you feel about your safety? Do you feel like it's being threatened at all?
No. I think this is, DC being the capital of the United States, I think that it usually is prepared for this kind of attack.
I feel a little bit threatened. It's scary seeing ISIS says DC's next on the CNN homepage.
I do feel safe because I feel like the GW community has been open and honest with us about how they're dealing with this and how they're looking into it. And they sent out an email about how the State Department doesn't feel like there's any real credible threat. So I feel like we're in a good place for now.
If you could say anything to the people of Paris right now, what would you say?
I would just say I'm extremely sorry and I'm praying for you.
I guess I would just say I'm so sorry and the world is watching.
From all of us here at GWTV, we stand with you and support you, Paris. For GWeek, I'm Ruti Venkatesan.
Meanwhile, there is unrest happening in the U.S. right on college campuses. Over the past month, protests have occurred at multiple universities across the nation. Students have been calling for an increase in the diversity of their student body and faculty, and for the improvement of the hostile racial climate at their universities. The wave of demonstrations began following the student protests at the University of Missouri. Students wanted the president of the university to resign after administrators failed to address racial disparities at the school. Here at GW, hundreds of students shared their support on social media for the students of color at Mizzou, following the arrest of two suspects who posted on GWeek that they were going to shoot every African American student they saw on campus. These events led GW President Stephen Knapp to release a statement to address the concerns shared by students and faculty. Such events remind us of our collective responsibility to ensure that all George Washington University students feel genuinely welcome and are fully supported as they strive to achieve their aspirations. GW students have responded to national events in a remarkably thoughtful and empathetic way, and I encourage all of us to join them in that spirit and to keep the dialogue going. We'll be right back with more headlines after the break.
I believe. I believe that. I believe that we. I believe that we will win.
GW basketball has had a great start to the season. The men's team beat the number 6 team Virginia at a sold-out Smith Center. The men's record is currently 7-1, and the women's is 5-3. Keep it up, Colonials. The New York City favorite Momofuku Milk Bar opened its doors this fall here in Washington, D.C. Here's reporter Abby Mansour with more.
Thanks, Mary Grace. We're here at Momofoco Milk Bar in Washington, D.C. to try some cool new treats and have a good time. Let's see how it goes. Momofoco Milk Bar opened earlier this fall in downtown D.C. on the corner of 11th and I Street Northwest. The menu offers a wide selection of baked goods and scrumptious treats. The signature item on the menu is their cereal milk soft serve, and our crew waited patiently to see what all the fuss was about. Let's try it. Cheers. So let's try some of this. Try this?
Let's do it. Cheers to the cookies.
Cheers to the cookies.
I think this is going to be the new DC craze, like frozen yogurt kind of took its thing.
Definitely. I'm sick of like the froyo. This is like real soft serve ice cream, which I haven't had since like coming to GW. We discussed our overall thoughts about Momofoco Milk Bar after a few hours of taste testing at a park nearby. I'd give it a B+, because that milkshake and those cake balls were so good, but I felt like the cookie lacked a lot of like the typical cookie flavors that like a good cookie, like compared to like a Captain Cookie, which we all know and love. It's very different.
Yeah, if you're trying to go for a cookie, definitely Captain Cookie over the Milk Bar. I would give their crack pie an A+, because that was delicious and so gooey. But I think the space could be a little bit bigger, and there could be some seats inside, because there's no seating. It's just a bar. So overall experience, I'd give it a B.
Great food. I love it. I'd go back.
I'd go back too. There's so much more to try on the menu.
I'm Abby Mansour with GWeek. Back to you, Mary Grace.
Thanks, Abby. If you need some food during finals week, discover GW's best study break at the Center for Student Engagement's annual Midnight Breakfast this Wednesday, December 9th, between 10 p.m. and 12 a.m. Students can enjoy a healthy and hearty breakfast in the Marvin Center's Grand Ballroom and J Street. Relieve some of that exam stress with some viral YouTube video showings and student music performances throughout the rest of the Marvin Center. As the semester comes to a close, the Midnight Breakfast is the perfect opportunity to relax and have some fun. The GW community gathered in Kogan Plaza on Veterans Day on November 11th to commemorate those who have served and are currently serving in the armed forces with a wreath-laying ceremony. Their service included a variety of speakers, including the president of the GW Veterans Association and the Associate Provost for Military and Veteran Affairs. The event concluded with a service medley where veterans in the audience stood for recognition when their branch song was played. We'll be right back after the break. Stay with us.
The George Washington University, at the intersection of policy, practice, and research, connecting all that Washington has to offer with an intellectual environment that drives progress, transforming vision into action, offering learning experiences that are rigorous, real-time, and real-world. In a city shaping the future, George Washington is a place where faculty and students don't just study the world, they work to change it.
The National Christmas tree was lit this year on December 3rd. Take a stroll down to the White House to see this holiday symbol that has been a tradition since 1923. Also located at the White House is the National Menorah. For the 8 nights of Hanukkah this year, beginning on December 6th, the menorah will shine brightly, getting all of DC in the holiday spirit. Christmas at the Gaylord National Resort is an award-winning holiday attraction that draws thousands of people every year. The attraction features 2 million pounds of ice, sculpted by artists from all around the world. This one-of-a-kind attraction that features the holiday's favorite characters is being held from November 21st to January 3rd. Back on campus, GW hosted its annual Ross Chaos Dancing Competition in Lisner Auditorium on Saturday, November 14th. 10 universities from around the country came to compete as an energetic crowd watched this unique and colorful event. Reporter Coralie Barreau has the details.
On Saturday, November 13th, the South Asian Society presented their 15th annual Intercollegiate Traditional Indian Dance Competition, Ross Chaos. 8 teams from universities across the country performed high-energy and unique dances in Lisner Auditorium. About 1,000 people attended the event, and Virginia Commonwealth University took first place.
The Textile Museum, located next to Corcoran Hall, opened up a new exhibit called China, through the lens of John Thompson. We sent reporter Stephanie Adams to see what all the buzz was about.
From now until February 14th, the Textile Museum will feature an exhibit that gives DC residents an exclusive look into 19th century China. The 2-floor exhibit features images captured by Scottish photographer John Thompson on his 4 journeys across China. Thompson's work focuses on showcasing the everyday lives of the rich and the poor. The exhibit also showcases textiles and accessories of the time. The second floor of the exhibit features an interactive hub where visitors can take a closer look at Chinese culture and Thompson's travels. The Textile Museum is open 6 days a week and is free to GW students and faculty who wish to expand their knowledge on Chinese culture in an innovative and intriguing way. Reporting for GWeek, I'm Stephanie Adams.
A year ago, GW bought the Corcoran School of Art and Design, adding a historical museum and an entire new College of Art to our campus. Reporter Holly Goldberg caught up with students to see how the GW experience is evolving.
A year ago, I was able to do a story for GWeek about the GW and Corcoran merge and what that would mean for both student bodies. Now, the opportunities on campus are growing.
Definitely like technology and stuff like that. There's like a lot more computers and cooler stuff in a way.
From what I hear, the way how the exhibitions are being handled, and also the way how we are being integrated inside the Columbian College, which opens up opportunities to minor inside like jazz or in dance, because I'm a newly assigned dance minor, and so it's quite exciting to see the synergy between the two departments, between the Corcoran and GW.
I've noticed that a lot of Corcoran students have really gotten involved with other GW activities and clubs. A lot of people in my program actually joined Greek Life this year, and so I'm part of Greek Life, so I love that. Last year we were on the campus for design, so now we're mixed with the fine arts students, so it's interesting to see the dynamic between the two groups, but so far it's worked really well.
Originally it was a small school, so therefore it made everything a whole lot more personal. But there's a cultural shift that's taking place, especially as the legacy students basically transition out.
Some breaking news we wanted to share with you. On Wednesday of last week, 14 people were killed and 21 were wounded at a shooting in San Bernardino in California. This event was the 355th time 4 or more people have been in a mass shooting this year. The shooting occurred at the Inland Regional Center for County Employees during their holiday party. After a car chase later that afternoon, the 2 armed suspects were killed by police. Their motive is still unknown, but police say there was some degree of planning. There's a new organization on campus that is dedicated to help Syrian refugees gain access to educational opportunities in countries they've emigrated to. Joining us now is Blake Wessinger of the organization No Lost Generation GW. Blake, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So can you tell me a little bit more about No Lost Generation?
Yeah, we're a chapter of a movement that was started by the United Nations a couple years ago called No Lost Generation to help people displaced people in regions around the world experiencing war gain access to educational opportunities.
Okay, great. And can you tell me what is your role in the organization?
Yeah, I'm one of our 12 executive board members and also a virtual student foreign service intern, which is an internship program the State Department has offered those of us in leadership roles in the organization.
Okay. And going off that, how did your organization start and how has its membership grown?
So the State Department took this movement, this No Lost Generation movement from the United Nations, which wasn't very successful in the first stages, and they decided to apply it to college students. So they approached some Elliott School professors and said, do you have some kids in the Elliott School who would be interested in trying this out? And they approached a couple of us. We reached out to our friends and created a group of students who was really dedicated to this issue. Through the Virtual Student Forest Service program, we do 10 to 12 hours per week, and we have to report on that. And that's basically all of our executive board activity. And so we've been really, really productive so far. We have over 45 members now, new members joining every single week at every event that we have. So very happy with the way we've progressed.
Definitely. Seems like you're very ambitious and it's been really successful. So why do you feel it's important to create awareness here on our GW campus about the Syrian refugee crisis?
Well, I think a lot of times with issues like this that are so important in the world, students, and particularly young people, want to do something but don't understand how they can get involved or feel like I'm too small to really do anything. And we've kind of found that that's not true at all. You can raise awareness, and that's always good, but you can also raise funds, and we've been able to have events with speakers who are doing real work, who come in to make connections and talk to college students. And I think college students are really important to this whole issue because we have more connections, professors, friends than anybody else in the country, and we have more ability to spread the word and find people who can help. So to collect everybody together with all of their ideas and to try to make some real progress with that.
Absolutely. So can you tell me more about the specific events that No Lost Generation has done to both promote awareness and raise funds?
So our launch event, we had Melissa Fleming, who is the head of communications for the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. She came in and gave a talk, a really, really emotional talk about a Syrian family who had escaped, who had swam across the Mediterranean Sea. And it was very powerful, and we had over 100 people come. And then after that, many of them signed up to receive more information from us, and even some of them signed up to join our organization at some rate. We also had a panel event with a representative from Save the Children, Catholic Relief Services, Médecins du Monde, which is Doctors of the World, and Refugees International. And they spoke, and again, we had over 100 people there, and many joined the organization and went on our listserv after. And we've also partnered with an organization in Toronto that's helping distribute tablets with educational material in Syria.
Wow.
And we gathered students together to make this educational material and load them onto the tablets, which will be sent to Turkey and Jordan.
Wow, that's really impressive, that partnership. And just so I understand, you've had a lot of influential speakers come to campus, and you just mentioned one of them. Could you talk a little bit more about some others that have come?
Well, we've only had 2 events so far. We're a very
Okay.
new student group. We've only been around for a month or so. But actually tonight we have another event where we have a speaker from something called the Al Kayat Foundation, who's matching our donation from all the funds that we raise tonight at this gala that we've partnered with the International Affairs Society here at GW, kind of trying to partner with other student groups as well as other organizations. But we have much more to come. We've been talking to the State Department. They want to send us a speaker sometime in early January, so all I can say to you is stay tuned.
Definitely. Well, that is really, really good to hear. And I would encourage anyone who's interested in this to check that out tonight. And then just going off that, so if a student at GW is interested in joining, what could they do to become more involved or maybe devote themselves to helping raise funds?
Well, they should talk to us because no matter what you're willing to do, everything is useful to us. I mean, no matter how much effort you're willing to put forth. So not everybody has to be an executive board member or going on TV or going to talk to people. Everybody can just get together, create educational material for that partnership that we've created, help us staff an event, and just share all of our links on Facebook. We want everybody to be aware because we think this issue is one of the most important issues facing the world right now, and it gets forgotten a lot of the time.
And Blake, why do you think educational resources are so important during a refugee crisis?
Well, I think it's an issue that gets often overlooked when it comes to refugee crisis, and it's really, really a big issue. You see all of these populations who are forced to move away from their homes and can't gain citizenship and therefore can't go to school in the countries they go to. And then you have what we call a no-lost generation, which is 2, 3, even 5 years of children who haven't had any kind of education. It can set back your entire society and all of your human capital for years to come. And so we'd like to think that we're different because we're not just addressing the acute suffering of the refugees, we care about their future. And we care about the future of the Syrian people. And we don't want this diaspora to end up being just that, a diaspora with no access to education or innovation. So we care about Syria moving forward, and we think we can do something to make a difference.
Okay, thank you so much. And if you do want to learn more about No Lost Generation, you can check out their Facebook page. That brings us to the end of our show. Until next time, make sure to check out GWTV on our website at www.gw-tv.com. Thanks for tuning in, GW. We'll be seeing you around campus.